Okay. It says we're live here. Hey guys, I'm Big John at Big Man, Alaska. I want to welcome you back for another live stream. And today's live stream, we're going to be talking about some actual situations I've been going through for the last week or two. Let's see, the side effects of not doing strict carnivore is what's on the table today. We're also going to talk a little bit about my previous nicotine addiction and how I've been able to handle it, and some of the odd things that have happened in the process because along with the nicotine, I have gained a lot of weight. Um, and it's something I didn't quite understand exactly why it happens. And that's the whole point of this community here. This community converses back and forth. We talk back and forth between one another. And I learn many things here. And I find this extremely important as far as my weight loss journey goes, because I'm not just here as a talking head to tell everybody how smart I am. I'm here to try to figure out my own self and also help people figure out their own personal situations with situations I might be going through. And that's why I share these oddities of, some specific things that I might experience along the way. So let's get back onto the main topic of, today's live stream, which is what happens when you don't do strict carnivore anymore. And as most of you know, I do a 90-10 eating principle, which is 90% meats and fats, 10% I love my life. And I try to manage that 10% very carefully. But looking back at the last 2.5 weeks, I've been battling nicotine and getting it out of my system. I have officially going to declare that I accomplished that goal. Now, I can judge that by some of the interactions I've had with family, friends, and some of the personal situations I've been in, which would have normally triggered me to just automatically just throw my hands up in the air and say, I'm done. I'm done with all this. I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to get a pack of cigarettes. I'm just going to sit in the car and smoke or chew or vape or do whatever. Now, the side effects were so bad. The withdrawals were so bad that I couldn't come out here and talk. I couldn't do a live stream. There would be no way I would have made it 5 minutes through one of these streams without just losing it and throwing a little hissy fit in my little pity party and just shutting down the entire stream because I couldn't focus. I mean, I couldn't focus on anything, even basic research, just trying to figure out my own situation because I was reaching out to professionals to try to figure out my nicotine situation. So in the meantime, while going through all of this quitting smoking, I was reaching out to people and I was concerned about my weight loss because after all, this is what I'm here for. Is I'm doing a weight loss journey. I'm here to share my weight loss journey with everybody. I'm also here to share the honest, truest opinions and experiences as they go. So I did notice quite a few things in the last about 2.5 weeks. So once I really buckled down and I started to just honestly say, hey, I'm going to quit smoking right now. I'm done with nicotine. I'm going to make this work no matter what. I'm going to figure out how to make this work no matter what. And even though I've had, years of attempts and trials and errors, but I figured I had enough education wrapped up with how to lose weight quickly, and the basic principles on how to do it and keep it going. So I basically took those principles, applied it towards, smoking and nicotine and other addictions I have in my life. And it worked. I mean, it does, it works. And now I am officially getting back on the carnivore train as of today because I fell way off the rails. I mean, I was eating anything and everything that I could get my hands on. I was going for everything you could think of in the cupboards. I was just trying to basically go and just solve the smoking problem once and for all. If I gained some weight, 20, 30 pounds, I didn't care at that point. I was like, you know what? I'm getting good at losing weight. We're just going to gain the freaking weight. And now we're just going to deal with this nicotine addiction once and for all. We're done. We're just going to be done. And that's it. And that's what this weekend's video was talking about mainly. And this is going to be kind of rhetorical, or not necessarily rhetorical. I like to use big words because I'm not exactly the brightest bulb in the box. I'm a truck driver, so sometimes I use vocabulary that doesn't quite fit the situation. But how did I feel once I started coming off a carnivore? And like I said, I was doing 90-10 eating principles. I wasn't doing 100% carnivore. But I had a lot of benefits, tons of benefits, just doing carnivore my way. And I found thousands of people in the community that were doing carnivore in a similar way that I was already doing it. And some were, doing a little bit more relaxed version, about an 80-20 version of carnivore. But 90-10 really works. I mean, it gave me just enough room to wiggle back and forth and make a few minor adjustments and mistakes and also have a few enjoyments in my life. That was important to me. So, but I felt horrible. I felt disappointed in myself because I was getting into foods that I wasn't previously getting into ever. Like I wasn't sneaking off to the pantry and sneaking some chocolate or, eating some potato chips once in a while. And which is things I just let go by the total wayside in the last 2.5 weeks. And which is also a direct result in some of my weight gain. But I didn't realize that so much cortisol was going to be released throughout the process of quitting smoking or quitting nicotine and just cutting nicotine out completely. I had no nicotine for the last 5 or 6 days of my system. And that's when the real weight gain started because the previous week, my weight gain was only a couple of pounds. And then all of a sudden this week, when I got on the scale yesterday or last night, whatever you want to call it, I was like a 26 or 27 pounds of weight gain. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of weight to gain in 1 week. Now I can understand water retention and stuff like that, but actual fat gained, I mean, I found it hard to believe that I could gain 26 pounds of fat. So I just totally ignored that. I mean, and I went on and I said, all right, we're gonna get out there. We're gonna make this weekend's video. We're gonna get it out to the people, and I'm just gonna let the audience decide, what they believe happened, and I'm gonna go from there. Because quite often what happens here is I engage in conversations through the comments. Just like here, we have a comment thread that's running already, and I just want to say hi to everybody while we're here. But I really need to stay focused on the video part of the topics for right now, and then we'll talk to everybody in the comment section here a little bit later on. But I interact with everybody throughout all of these videos being created in the comment section. Some videos don't do well. We don't get a whole lot of comments in all of them because the majority of the community here, we're all wrapped around the carnivore type thing. And if I don't include carnivore in my titles, the videos don't do that great. And nobody really wants to watch them. They're not interested because not everybody is a smoker. Not everybody's addicted to nicotine. They don't see the direct correlation as to how I figured out how to quit smoking or other addictions. Like, maybe being an alcoholic, same thing. I can apply that same principle to being an alcoholic, being a cocaine addict, etc. I can use those same principles and hopefully help somebody else help themselves. And that's the whole point of all of this, because your feedback helps me. And sometimes I point things out that might help you. And that's what makes this community an actual community of people that actually care about one another. Because I haven't really met hardly anybody here on this platform that doesn't like what I'm doing. I get the occasional flies that come in once in a while, but they know where their door is. They find a cracked window and they just they take off. They're gone. But yeah, I was horribly disappointed when I found myself frequenting the pantry. I was getting into a lot of excess fruits, a lot of vegetables I normally wouldn't get into. And I finally just said, okay, I have some stuff that I would just like to make. I was already, hitting myself against the wall. I'm in a financial situation right now where we're kind of in between jobs. Snow hauling has slowed down dramatically. The weather outside has been cold. I think last night got down to about -16 here in Anchorage. So when it's cold and it's cold like this for a long period of time, it doesn't snow. We'll get these little snow crystals, but it's nothing that really accumulates and nothing that we can clean up. So yeah, our workload slows way down. And I did do an interview yesterday. I was super excited about it. It's something that me and one of my employers was trying to set up for about a month now, and it was something we talked about for a while and batted back and forth. And it's a job that I'm definitely going to accept if it's offered, because it just makes a lot of sense for the long term, and hopefully it'll get me, myself, my family, and everybody into a better financial situation for the future. And when you have a lot of kids, it's expensive when you're trying to send anybody to school or even just take care of them in regular grade school. It gets expensive. But yeah, so yeah, we've been suffering as far as the groceries go for a little bit. So I went out and I did some discount shopping at Walmart, and lo and behold, one of my main foods is eggs. and eggs was nowhere to be found at Walmart today. I, again, this is like the second time around. The eggs were just completely gone off the shelves here in Alaska. And I did stop in a couple other stores, couldn't find any eggs there. And I was just like, I'm going to forget about the eggs for the day. We might go check out Costco later on, after we're done making this video, and then, see if they got any eggs available. But so I went the ladder and I bought the cheapest hamburger patties that I could find at Walmart just to get back on the whole carnivore train. Before I made this video here, I just made up three of those burger patties, and before the video, because I get a little antsy when I'm trying to make these things without anything in my stomach. But yes, the disappointment was there when I got off the rails. Now, within the first 3 days of being off the rails, and this is kind of important here, when I was doing my 90-10 carnivore, and sometimes I was doing it a little weaker than 90-10, I had no body odor. I had no odor anywhere on my body. I had no armpit odor. I had no feet, crotch, funk. Nothing was going on. Within 3 days of being off the rails, I had noticeable armpit odor. That was annoying and disturbing, because when you're gone a couple of months, 2-3 months, or however long I've been doing 90-10 eating principles, I was so used to not having that smell, that funk, that odor just coming. It's like, dude, go away. I don't want to smell you anymore. That's bad. But that was really annoying. And we did take a couple trips out to some restaurants. Now, we went and got some pho. That was a very good meal, very healthy meal. And also we did go to a Mongolian type restaurant. That was another relatively healthy type meal at the Mongolian style restaurant. But I was tossing in some of the sugary type chickens and meats and stuff like that on top of the Mongolian barbecue dish. So that was added some extra nonsense that didn't need to be in there. And that also, relates to some extra weight gain as I went. Yeah, again, that was just a couple days ago. I didn't feel proud about that. I'm like, okay, when am I going to get back on track? And I figured I would come up with a timeline. And just like any of my weight loss timelines here, I focus mainly on Monday through Friday, right up until the time that I started doing carnivore. Now, once I started doing carnivore, I started focusing on carnivore as well through the weekend. And if I do go slightly off the rails while I'm doing carnivore, it's ever so slightly, because it feels good to eat the carnivore way. So it just works for me. I mean, and I can eat a lot. I can eat a lot of food. I can eat a lot of burger patties. I can eat a lot of eggs. I can eat, chicken. I can eat liver. There's so many options there. Sardines are starting to taste good. Once my palate, and I'm probably going to have to readjust my palate again, because it's just got so out of whack in the last 2.5 weeks. Plus, I just quit nicotine altogether, and that's something that affects the palate, the way everything tastes as well. So it was fun going off of the rails for a little bit. But like I said, I was disappointed. I was sad. I was going through a ton of withdrawals. So I had depression kicking in. I was self-isolating. I wasn't communicating well with my wife. I wasn't communicating well with my kids. For the most part, if I had started having issues, I would take off and I'd be in the bedroom and just forget it, And I was deliberately taking many, many naps. So I'd get up throughout the period of the day. I'd get up in the morning. I'd play on my phone. I'd do my stuff, send emails or reply to messages and stuff like that. And then shortly after that, I'd be back in bed. I'd be taking a nap. The wife would do all the dirty work and get the kids ready for school, drop them off at school. And then she would come home, and sometimes she would get into her own stuff here for video creation. And then I would wake up for a little bit, maybe eat a little bit. And this was a roller coaster of nonsense, just trying to get over all of the withdrawals from the nicotine, and not being a combative situation between me and my wife, because it was a stressful time. and me not eating right wasn't making things any easier. Now the mental clarity, the only problem I had with the mental clarity aspect of going off the rails wasn't anything to do with not eating the carnivore way right at this time. And it's just my opinion in this, because I still had the mental clarity there. The only problem was I wasn't able to connect with it because the withdrawals of the lack of nicotine was getting in the way. Um, I was just cutting out all the nicotine, and those withdrawals that were hitting me within the first 72 hours were extremely hard. And like I said, it got better. It got better quickly. Like right now, normally I would be feeling that frontal lobe feeling where I just wanted to uh, possibly have a cigarette, or possibly, put in a Zen pouch, or take a puff off my inhaler, not my inhaler, but I got, what I mean, the vape, which is something I would normally do. I'd have it sitting right here on the desk, and in between edits and stuff like that, I just, there we go. And but that wasn't helping, and vaping wasn't helping. I mean, I remember when vaping came out and everybody was just up in arms saying, "Oh, this is such a great solution. So many people are going to quit smoking." And so, what a horrible habit. But they forgot to mention that people were still going to have an addiction, and they were still going to be buying and spending a whole lot of money on something they didn't really need in their life. And that was something I didn't realize either until just recently. I'm like, man, I spent thousands of dollars on vape products, on mods, on battery chargers, on batteries, just tanks and coils and nonsense. And half the stuff is stuff we don't even use because they either stop selling it, or things become outdated. So now you're stuck with a whole bunch of jewelry like items, sitting in a drawer somewhere that nobody's going to touch. It's just garbage, and it needs to just be garbage and be done with. So yeah, I wanted to be done with vaping. And then I noticed the Zen pouches were just another aspect of being equally as addictive as anything else. So I was like, okay, well, this is helping for the moment, so I just need to cut this out too. So I cut that out. But all right. So the changes in my moods and my social interactions, like I said, I was very distant from everybody, especially my friends, my close friends. I wasn't calling people like I normally would. I have close friends here in Alaska that I try to get a hold of on a regular basis, and some of these YouTube channels as well. I like to collaborate with them as often as possible because we share ideas, and we also come up with some amazing things to talk about, especially in these live stream videos. But yeah, let's see, about how long did it take me to start thinking straight, after I quit smoking? So it was 2.5 weeks total is about the time frame that I'm in right now. So it was approximately exactly 2 weeks into the process of me kicking nicotine out of my life, or starting to kick nicotine out of my life, because it didn't work right away. I had the mindset going. I had a conversation with Carnivore Cure, Todd. You guys know Todd. He's an amazing guy. He's the one that set me up in his video. And unwillingly, he didn't realize he was doing this, but he set me up in such a positive way, because he talked about how carnivore helped him quit chewing tobacco. And that was amazing. It got my brain working and thinking along the lines of, hey, I need to think like Todd. Todd figured this out. He's a lovely, happy guy, absolutely amazing guy. And I was so happy to hear his story and how it was just easily managed. And I was like, man, this guy could do it. I could do it too. I was inspired by Todd. And if you don't know Todd, check him out at Carnivore Cure. The Carnivore Cure, I believe, is the correct channel name. And you'll probably see him, back and forth talking, and I'll be in his live streams on some occasions. I wanted to do this live stream here on StreamYard. I tried to get everything set up. Todd helped me a little bit earlier on, and I still botched it up. I couldn't get anything to work, so I had to do this through YouTube. Okay, let's see. How long before I could think straight? We talked about that. Yeah, it took approximately 2 weeks so I could think straight. Let's see. So some of the immediate changes in the body, I went over that, where, I had some noticeable body odor. Now my eyesight hasn't really been improving or deteriorating one way or the other, because carnivore helped me get rid of a lot of the eye floaters. Now the eye floaters were a problem because they were basically just set up, like right in my face. And they were just, you look this way and then they go like this, or you look that way and then they go like this. And it's like, drive me absolutely bonkers because they were really dark spots. There were dark spots like in my line of sight. And sometimes I would have to look right and left just so I could look straight at something and, just read a street sign or something like that. So that was concerning. I was happy to see that Carnivore helped that and got rid of that whole situation. The inflammation that I was experiencing while I was off the rails was manageable, but it did come back right away. It was probably only manageable because I did introduce a little bit more exercise than I normally would in this entire weight loss journey, which is lose 90% of my weight with little to no exercise, and that's kind of been my mission statement since I started doing all this. But okay, yeah, I'm starting to peter out a little bit here, and on this topic, I was hoping I'd have a lot more to talk about. We are definitely going to be running down the list here of the people that are chiming in, and I see a lot of people in here. I got 22 people in the stream right now, and also, if you could just do me a favor, if you're in the comment thread right there, if you could just click out of the comment thread and click the like button for these videos, it really helps us out a lot. When we're, just trying to spread the word and awareness and stuff like that, because I don't personally believe that quitting smoking had to be as hard as it was, or losing weight had to be as hard as it was, because that's why I got out here in the first place. That's why I didn't mind embarrassing myself in front of all of you. I just set myself up in a situation where I was like, you know what? I don't care if I look like an idiot. I want people to know this stuff because it should be free. I believe 90% of weight loss should be free. It should have been stuff we should have been teaching our kids, or we should have been taught a long time ago. Weight loss has nothing to do with eating a salad or going to the gym. None of it. All we have to do is self-regulate by eating the proper foods, the proper American diet, however you want to call it. Just eat whole foods, regardless if they're meats. Eat whole foods, and you're already going to be a step ahead. And I know there's a lot of carnivores out there. They look at a fruit, they look at a vegetable, and they're like, nope, you evil, mean thing. And that's okay. But not everybody's going to not want to eat vegetables. There's a lot of carnivores out here that still eat vegetables. They're just afraid to talk about it. So I get it. I know why, because there's a lot of carnivores out there that just don't want to talk about veggies anymore. They're done with the whole vegetable things because they were force fed vegetables when they were children. And I remember being force fed some vegetables when I was a child, and they were coming up the hard way. I did not like that. And the particular vegetable I'm talking about was either canned green beans or canned lima beans or canned wax beans. Absolutely repulsive. Nope. Even to this day, I cannot stomach those. Just looking at them, smelling them, green beans, if I'm going to eat a green bean, it's got to have a snap. Boop. Yeah, it's got to have a good snap. It's just like eating good peas. They gotta have that they don't need to be mushy. I'm not a mushy person. Even when I eat fish, I don't want to eat mushy salmon. It's always been my biggest pet peeve when the wife cooks fish, is that quite often she'll go out and catch these amazing trout, these huge trout. I mean, they're big freaking fish, but for some reason the meat on the trout aren't always very firm, and I like a really nice firm type fish. And yeah, that's a good thing. Now, if I get a salmon, like not all salmon is created equal. That's another thing that just drives me insane when I see things at restaurants, salmon at restaurants. You can't just say it's Alaskan salmon. There's so many different species of salmon here in Alaska, and they're not all created equal. There's a lot of them we consider dog food. Pinks, for instance. You can eat a pink salmon, but it's not quality salmon in our opinion, especially for us locals here. Now, there's a lot of people that will eat pink salmon. If you catch it like right away and get it straight home and on the smoker, and those particular type of salmon are best if smoked. or they have to be canned like almost immediately. If they have any sit around time, they become mushy and gross, and you might as well just grind them up and turn them into dog food. And then we have chum. Chum is another one. If you catch it immediately, that turns real soft and squishy, and you can like push your finger almost right in through the fish. It's another fish that I don't care for. So we like the red salmon, we like the silver salmon, and the king salmon. Those are the three uh, species of salmon that most of us that live local go for and try to have. So, anyways, let's see what's going on here in the comment thread. There's been a lot going on here. All right, I appreciate you guys that went over and liked the stream. That does help out a lot. Thank you, Jenny Lieberg. I was wondering if it tasted nasty. I didn't see the initial comment to that. Let's see. No. Oh, you guys have been hitting up this comment thread pretty hard here, so I'm gonna unfortunately not be able to scroll through all of these because there's so much going on in here. I eat sauerkraut. Yeah, sauerkraut is very good. Fermented vegetables is very good for the gut. Also, along with like Greek yogurt and stuff like that. So Greek yogurt is something I have implemented here just recently, and it's helped a lot of my bowel movements move to a, how do I want to call this without sounding disgusting? It's a lot fuller bowel movement, if that makes sense. It's almost like a religious experience when you turn around and you're just like, I did that. I feel kind of proud. But yeah, so I've added in Greek yogurt, which has helped with a lot of my digestive issues, especially right after I eat a meal. So my stomach starts to feel weird after I eat a meal. If I eat some Greek yogurt, it does something in the stomach lining, and it just helps kind of like cover up what little bitty ulcer type pains that I have going on in there. And then in the morning, I'll use a spoonful of coconut oil, MCT oil, and use that in my coffee. And that really seems to help. Now, I was wondering, now maybe you guys know that if maybe butter does the same thing. Maybe that's the carnivore solution to not have to use coconut oil. I don't know. And I'm just assuming that it might, because when I first started carnivore, I was eating a lot of burgers, and that's going to be kind of my go-to, which is like hamburger meat, because meat's expensive. I'm sorry. You just can't, especially if you're going to have more than one person in the family eating the meat. It gets really expensive really fast. And if you're living a humble life like me, living in a trailer home, and you just, paying for everything up front, which is what we do, it just gets expensive pretty fast when you're buying a lot of meat. Because the first time I bought a lot of hamburger, I can't remember what it was. It was like 20 pounds of hamburger, I think, that I bought out here in Eagle River at, I believe it's like Mike's Tasty Meats or something like that, but in Eagle River. And it wasn't even the right kind of meat. It was like a 90-10. It was too lean. It didn't have enough fat content in it. So it really threw me for a loop when I started carnivore, because I screwed up. I mean, I made a mistake. I made a beginner carnivore mistake. And this is what we're here for, is to try to help educate people along the path of how to do carnivore in a healthier way, how to achieve these wonderful situations. Another off-scale victory that Todd was talking about, and was that he started growing hair. I mean, he said he was bald for a number of years, and he started growing hair up here. And I'm also starting to gain some hair, where my hair has been gone for a long time. Now, some other places that I'm gaining hair is like right here on my stomach. I mean, it's gotten a lot furrier. It's kind of like, wow, that's different, because I didn't have a whole lot of hair growth right there before. And I would never even notice that unless Todd brought that up in his live stream. And it's just amazing, all the things that we learn from one another, and we're experiencing it firsthand. We're seeing all the miracles that carnivore just gives every single one of us, but we don't always notice them. Isn't that kind of the neat deal of this? Is that it's like one week something new happens, you don't even think about it, then all of a sudden somebody's talking about it, and it doesn't get old. The whole topic of, somebody else brought it up. It's okay to bring it up again, because not everybody in that audience is going to be in your audience, or vice versa, or in your personal circle, social circle. And then when you start talking about things, people are like, wow, I experienced that too. That's awesome. And then, we have more conversations like this. So let's check out here. Barbara Cyrome, beef, butter, bacon, eggs. And Dr. Kinberry teaches, yes, I love beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. Let's see, butter, yes. All right. So, all right, we're going to try that for this week and see how that works, because I know the coconut oil does work. It worked immediately for me. So I'm going to try this week to use a spoonful of butter in replacement of the coconut oil. But I'm also going to be doing for this week a very strict type carnivore type routine. I'm going to be using a lot of frozen beef patties. And like I said, I was going to be using eggs, but we don't have any eggs available right now unless we can find some eggs. And then we're going to be using sardines. So we're going to be eating at least 1 or 2 cans of sardines a day. And then we're going to be working with beef patties or eggs if we can find any here. And then because eggs are some of my favorite foods for doing a fasting type situation that I can actually eat. So it just works. And sardines work well too, but man, you just don't enjoy them as much as eggs. And that's why I did a sardine fast, mixed with eggs. And I can't remember, it was like 9 pounds of weight loss I had that 1 week. And it was amazing. It was a beautiful thing. I was so happy to have thought of trying that, because when I mentioned it to anybody else, they looked at me like I was an absolute moron. Like, why would you mix sardines with eggs? And it wasn't that I was mixing them in with eggs. I was eating hard-boiled eggs, and I was eating sardines straight out of the can. They didn't even touch on a plate or anything like that. So yeah, if anybody's like freaked out about sardines, I'm sorry, but sardines are super powerful in all of this, especially when you're trying to get your body into ketosis, like in an emergency. So if you really screwed stuff up like I did, I went off the rails for about 2.5 weeks. You want to get back into ketosis fast. Your fastest way of getting there is eggs and sardines. Use those 2, or use one by themselves, one or the other, and then do that for 2 to 3 days. You will feel your body shift gears, and you will be punching it right into ketosis, and you'll be right back into weight loss, just like that. So, and the only reason I'm doing this right now is because I don't feel that horrible nicotine craving like I had. Like I have to go get something. I have to feel better because I'm feeling nervous, or somebody's making me, freak out. So, all right, let's see. Jill Lyberg, I might try that. Barbara Cyrome, can you intermittent fast? I do 18-hour fast and 6-hour eating windows. Okay, Barbara, I do love fasting. Now, that's how I got all of this weight loss started. I did a 5-day water fast. That was my first fast. And you'll probably hear a lot about that in a lot of my videos and as I go, because that was the most, I probably have PTSD from doing that 5-day water fast, because it was so intense and it was like a religious experience. I did a lot of prayer to get through. And on day 3 of that, I feel like I achieved everything I needed to do with the 5-day water fast, except for I started the fast under the thought process, I'm going to do 5 days. So I had to keep going. I had to put my faith into God and say, all right, God, you've gotten me this far. Other people have done this. Help me get through, and maybe we can, find something good on the other end. And it was just like finding the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. I mean, when I lost that 30 pounds doing a 5-day water fast, I was just blown away. I was like, holy moly, 30 pounds. That was life-changing, because I was morbidly obese. I was hurting. I was in a bad way. But yes, I love fasting. 24-hour fasting. I've done intermittent fasting. I've done the whole rotation of the meal, 24-hour fasting, where I start my meal at dinner time, and then I'll skip dinner, then I'll do lunch, and the next day I'll skip dinner and lunch, and then I'll just do breakfast. And that's the best one of all, in my opinion, because that gives you the most time in ketosis while you're in bed. And that's how I lost a lot of my initial weight, was fasting just like that. And then if that started to feel like it wasn't quite working, I would switch my fast again until still 24-hour fasting. I would switch it up to dinner, and then I just reverse the clock all the way through the week. And as I got to the last 2 days of the week, I was just eating breakfast and then no dinner, no lunch, and I was losing my weight while I slept, right up until the time I got to go weigh myself on Saturday morning at about 3:30 in the morning. That's how I was doing this. I was trying to explain it, but at that time, my brain function wasn't, I still had brain fog going on. And I was trying to explain it the best I could at that time, but I wasn't able to like correlate thoughts together like I can right now. And I definitely wouldn't have been able to sit here and do this to explain it to all of you exactly what I was doing, because it was just, I was like a little kid in a candy store. I was excited. I was like, dude, I just figured out something, and then nobody's really talking about it. And I don't know why they're not talking about it. So that's where I kind of like slid in here to the YouTube universe. And I'm just like, I don't care if anybody watches this. I just have to put it out there that, hey, you can lose weight with little to no exercise, and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it until I get to certain points, and I'm going to celebrate it. And it's going to be my own little party in the corner somewhere. And I would love it if all of you joined. I mean, it's great. You know, hopefully I can share this with you, and some of you can actually do this for yourself, because it's just remarkable. I'm not, you know, a one person type thing where this is only something that I can do. It's not. It's everybody can do this. You can all lose weight. You can all quit smoking. You can all quit alcohol. You can quit other addictive things. Just use the basic principles, especially the ones that I explained in this week's video, to, you know, help you with all of that. All of those goals can be reached. It's just a matter of being fed up. If you're fed up with smoking, you can do it. If you're fed up with being fat, you can do it. If you're fed up with diabetes or just being overweight or being unhealthy, there's a lot of people out there that are unhealthy, and they're really thin. They're really thin. You know, some people have thyroid issues going on. Some other people have this other stuff going on. I don't even want to mention it because I'll probably screw up the word and it'll sound like a Oriental cuss word. But you know what I mean? We can all get healthier together. We just have to just follow some basics. Hi, Jill King. It takes a village to conquer the addictions. Yes, it does, Jill. And I'm thankful for everybody that reached out to me, and the ones that would actually hear my cries, because I spent a lot of time crying to the community. And, you know, there's some select people in the community that I would reach out to more often than others. But it was so important to me to have those people there, even if they were just telling me, "Hey, dude, calm down. You're freaking out. Don't be a loon about this. You can. I know you're experiencing hard times. This sucks, but everything will get better. Just trust me. Just trust the process." And that was the thing, trusting the process and praying for the answers, and, you know, praying, meditation, slowing your mind down. That's what a lot of prayer does, is it slows your thought process down. It makes everything come in smoothly, and it teaches you to breathe. You have to breathe in and breathe out and let things flow. And it's kind of a beautiful feeling once everything starts working correctly. Cyber Goose, hi. How you doing there? I'm glad to see you guys here. Praying to God is very important for my journey. I kind of feel sorry for those that aren't religious and the ones that only believe in Scientology. But the one thing I love about science is that science is constantly proving itself wrong. And I hear people's arguments about science all the time. Well, science is proving itself right. I said, well, it does at times. And then we find out 20 years later that what you thought was right is wrong again. And it's an evolutionary circle of, you know, trying to get the best information because science has proven this. But then we find out later on down the road, the science proves it to be the opposite. And it's just, Scientology is just fantastic. But yeah, it's just like atheists that come at me and they're like, they want to spend so much time and energy telling me why God doesn't exist. And I just look at them and I'm like, why would you waste that much of your breath telling me about something that you don't believe in? And it doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, if there wasn't a God, you wouldn't spend that much time trying to teach me that there's not a God. You would just ignore me and leave me alone and go on about your life and be happy and enjoy your flat earth, because that's what some people like to believe. But I'm both again a believer. Love Jesus. Barbara Shirom. Amen to that. Amen to all of you. I mean, I appreciate, you know, anybody that follows the good book and believes. And I am not prejudiced against any religion, you know, Muslims alike, because I studied a lot of the Muslim faith, and read quite a bit of the Quran, and tried to compare notes back and forth. Because I was in a spiritual journey for about 10 years of my life. I was just trying to figure out uh, my own base. Where was I? Was I Christian? Was I, Baptist? Was I Protestant? I was trying to figure out all of those crazy denominations. And I visited, Salt Lake City. I visited the Mormon church, and I actually got invited into places that, people that aren't in the church don't normally get to go. So I got to see some amazing things in Salt Lake City. Definitely talked to some amazing families. So I learned a lot about the Mormons. I do have some relatives that are Jehovah Witness, and everybody's got their own way of being. If it helps you be a good person, amen. Be good. Just keep with it, because that's all I care about. We got Buddhists, we got Muslims, we got Jews, we got a little bit of everything, and everybody's in the same search. They're in the same search for inner peace and inner well-being. And this is also why a lot of us are so advocated to be discussing carnivore topics, because it's amazing how, when I started all this, I automatically saw this like cult-like feature, and it does become a cult-like feature in time, but that's only to those that are blinded to not argue things at times, because I'll argue everything, especially if I believe it to be true. And then I'll look for holes. I'll poke holes in the ship, see if I can sink my own ship. Because if I agree with something quickly, then usually there's a problem with it. I'm usually wrong. So then I have to find out, okay, where did I go wrong, or was I actually wrong? So then I'm searching. I'm going down these 12 different rabbit holes, and it takes me on a lot of weird things. Let's see. Northern Corruption Monitor. Hi, brother. Praise God. His goodness will lead men to repentance. Wise men still seek him. Yes, amen, brother. I believe you too. All right, their belief is there isn't a God is a glaring statement that would indicate that there is indeed a God. Absolutely, Joe Garage and others. Joe's Garage and other stuff. I don't believe I've looked into your channel. That's a neat name you got there. But overall, if you're just good people, I don't worry about what you believe in or your religion and stuff like that. If we share the same faith, that's great, because we had something to talk about. Now we have something in common. And even if you don't share the same faith, it's fun to talk about your belief. And I don't sit there and try to battle people with wits and education and Bible verses and stuff like that, because I don't have the best memory when it comes to Bible verses and stuff like that. But I do know the difference between being a douchebag and being somebody that's just trying to create problems in the room. And sometimes I am that problem too. I like to create problems just because it's fun to do, and I'm a big guy and I can do stuff like that. But okay, just posted my first carnivore video. Check it out when you can. Okay, I'll do that. Joe's Garage and other stuff. Apparently he's posting carnivore videos. So if you guys want to go check him out today, see what he's got going on. And Joe, I do want to warn you, I critique people honestly right away. So if I do critique you in your comment section, just please bear with me. I'm doing it out of just kindness and to hopefully help people learn a little bit better on how to create better content, because I work with a lot of channels. I'm only 2,500 subscribers, but I've taken a lot of time and effort to figure out exactly how to make this universe kind of work a little bit better than when I first started, because this guy, Northern Corruption Monitor, he was there when I first started making my first shopping videos. And he liked my channel because it was originally an Alaskan family channel. That's how this channel got started. It was called Alaska Life 907. And I didn't like that, having that 907 in there. Alaska Life was kind of bland and it was already taken. And we didn't know what to do. We didn't know what kind of content to build. And then I became friends with a little lady across over in New Jersey. Her channel name is Moments with Us. And she's a prepping type channel. She's a shopping channel. And this was all during the pandemic and stuff. And so I just started goofing around with some shopping video ideas because I liked some of her videos and the way she was doing it. I just thought I might be able to put a different spin on it. And I was also following a lot of prepping channels at that time, because the pandemic's going on. We had food shortages. We had some very unique situations going on here in Alaska, and we still do apparently today. I don't know if you saw that short form video I put up. There's seriously no eggs, no eggs at all, nothing. And in the egg section at Walmart, I couldn't even buy. I mean, they had these little boxes of egg white. I don't know what's inside those boxes. I don't trust that. If I want egg whites, I'm just going to go get egg whites and, remove the yolks. But I like the yolks. All right, let's see. What's that? I'm in New Jersey too. Yeah, right on. I don't miss New Jersey. I've trucked through there so many times and had a lot of problems in New Jersey and New York. The East Coast was just a mess, but it's where I grew up. I was used to the skinny roads, and people don't understand skinny roads until you travel some of the back roads on the East Coast, or you get stuck on a back road going through Mississippi and you find out you just lost a mirror to an RV that just drove by. It's either that or you go, over the levee and you're in the creek. That's kind of how that LOL bad travel out here for sure. Barbara Sarum. I'm in northern New York near Canada. Now, I grew up in New Hampshire, right outside Concord, New Hampshire. Very small state. Man, I will tell you what, a small state equals a small mind. I had no idea that 50 miles wasn't a long way. Some people travel 50 miles just to go to the grocery store, sometimes further than that. And out here in Alaska, 50 miles is really close compared to, some of these places. And you don't have to. And the funny thing about Alaska is since we have so much sun in the summertime, the brush and all the wilderness and stuff like that, it grows up so thick and so strong that you can literally walk off the road and be lost, like within 100 feet, if you can't hear any traffic. And because the brush it grows up so high, it's over your head at times, and you can't see the mountains. You can't see where the sun is. And since we have 24-hour daylight, the sun doesn't always set in the same area. So it's not like being on the East Coast where you got the sun coming up in one spot and going down in the other. So it does make land navigation a lot more difficult, especially when you can't see over the brush. Yes, Mac, powder eggs could be doctored up with hamburger. I've never tried powdered eggs unless it came in an MRE when I was in the military, and those didn't really taste. If they were powdered eggs, they didn't really taste very good. Alaska problem. Unfortunately, eggs are like $1 a dozen here in Minnesota. Yeah, that'd be great. I would love $1 a dozen eggs because, yeah, I actually did a little bit of research and tried to figure out if I could actually just live off of eggs. Now, eggs don't provide everything you need. So you have to find some of your nutrients elsewhere. They have a lot of important nutrients. Yes, they're very dense in nutritional value, but they do not carry everything you need. And that was something that I studied during the last time I did an egg fast because I was curious. I was like, how long could I do an egg fast? And apparently Dr. Berg or one of the other notorious carnivore type doctors online here, they did the research and made an easy video for us to understand. So I could just click on that and I watched it for a short period of time and I got a pretty good basic understanding as to, yeah, okay. So if you're going to do prolonged egg fasting, you're going to want to take breaks and don't plan on doing it for more than 3 weeks straight because it's probably not going to be a good idea. You're going to be deficient in a lot of areas. So, and just knowing the basis of how to do these things is super helpful. And I didn't worry about heart attacks, because the pre-programming that we had was that if you ate too many eggs, you ate too much bacon, you would have a heart attack and die pretty quickly. Well, the answer to that is yes and no. And the reason why it's yes and no is because if you were to eat too many eggs and too much bacon all by itself, nothing of anything substantial would happen to you. Okay. Now, if you were to eat the standard American diet on top of eating too many eggs and too much bacon, then all of a sudden your LDL, your cholesterol, and all the important markers for health come into play. Then you have a problem. Then all of a sudden you have serious heart issues, you have diabetic issues. Everything is all going to be intertwined quickly, especially when they start compounding the issues with sweeteners and seed oils and stuff like that. Now, there is a study that's been out for a little while now talking about how obesity, the common denominator for obesity isn't even sugar, because the sugar consumption has gone down in the last 15 to 20 years. But the only thing that's maintained the same, if not increased, is the amount of seed oils and inflammatory products that are out on the market today, as far as preservatives and stuff like that, to make things shelf stable. Because when I was a kid growing up in the 80s, even the boxed items, the stuff in the center aisles of the store, only lasted for a couple of weeks. Now they can put that stuff on the shelf for months. And sometimes you bring them home and they sit on our pantry shelves for years, and it's still edible years down the road, and not necessarily good for you, but you can eat it. I mean, you can eat a tree branch too, but doesn't mean it's going to be healthy for you. And that's kind of where I'm going here, is they're making a whole bunch of inner aisle tree branches for us to eat. And it's getting crazy because we're relying on all of this nonsense stuff in the center aisles, and we did for so many years, that we just got so unhealthy and so out of whack. And it's easy to do when you have your youth. So if you're young, you're in shape, you don't have a lot of these problems, you listen to us old goats, bantering back and forth about how, man, we should have done this differently back then. But when we lived back then, would we have listened to us have this conversation now in this room? I don't think we would have. I think a lot of us would have went by the wayside and said, you know what, I don't care. Or I'm going to enjoy my freaking Big Mac. I'm going to go out to eat at Subway. I'm going to, go eat whatever I want, chicken wings, order pizza. I'm going to live my life. And that's what a lot of us did. That's how we got in this situation in the first place. We got overweight. We had, other medical issues going on. We had, chronic anxiety, depression, other things that just, they're embarrassing topics to talk about because, some things just are better left unsaid in some cases. Let's see here. Bread molded after a few days. I'm not sure what that is. Eunice Henderson. And I got, let's see, Joe's Garage. I'll share in that guilt, Mac. I'm not sure. I missed part of that conversation. Bacon, onion, cheese, omelet every morning, fried in butter and bacon grease. I almost feel guilty. Oh my goodness, Corey. Thank you. Thank you, Corey. What diet for weight loss would you recommend for a 7-day water fast? For a 7-day water fast. Now, my 5-day water fast, like I said, I come up with my own stuff, and I think that's important. But if you're interested in what I did, so if I was going to do a 7-day water fast, I wouldn't even do 7 days. That's just my opinion. But if this is like a spiritual journey where you want to do 7 days, or some people do 8 days, I found the benefits to happen right at day 3. Now, I'm doing this also with vitamins and electrolytes. And that was one of the more important things that I added into my water fast. So I'd start out every morning, with a series of vitamins, like magnesium. I got some zinc, I got some B vitamin, I got some D3s, and stuff like that. And that all got me through those 5 days. Now, I was also using a mixture in my electrolyte drink, which is where I use apple cider vinegar, some lemon juice, and some Himalayan pink salt. And that was primarily what I started out with for my electrolytes. And I didn't even come up with that until around day 3 of my 5-day water fast, because I was new to fasting. I was 435 pounds just trying to figure out my own freaking mess. And my own mess was horrible. So I just stumbled across some information on electrolytes because I was feeling weird. I mean, I was just drinking water. So I didn't know as much as I thought I did. And this is why this community is important, because there's a lot of things that I do. There's a lot of things other people will do. And we can all help each other out to try to find the safer way to achieve these things. So if you wanted to do a 7-day water fast, yeah, absolutely. I believe I could do it. I don't think I would want to, because it was hard getting to that 5th day. But I did get the majority of the process moving on the 3rd day. So I think a 3-day water fast would be better. But like I said, if you're going to do a 5-day water fast, make sure you got your vitamins, electrolytes, and stuff like that all in check. And that's the first thing you're going to take care of first thing in the morning. And then you're going to drink water throughout the rest of the day. And yes, water, a lot of water. Half of your body weight in ounces is the magic number. And if you're doing a physical type of work day, it's important to drink more water. So then you're going to have to change the math. I had mine figured out to about 1.5 gallons is what I was drinking, depending on the temperature outside and the amount of effort I was putting into my workday, because I was peeing out. I was losing water weight really fast. I was heavy, 435 pounds. So I was flushing all this fluid out of my body as quick as I was putting it in. So if I drank 1.5 gallons, I was losing about 2 gallons of water that day, which is a lot of fluid to come in and go out the other end. And I appreciate you asking that too, because it is important to do whatever fast we're going to do. Do it somewhat safe. Help me. Hey, good to see you there. WTF, what the deal on the 26-pound weight gains? Well, the deal is apparently when you quit smoking, it raises cortisol levels. And like the week before, I only gained about 1 pound. Now the week where I cut out, like this entire previous week, I cut out nicotine completely Monday up until this point of making this live stream video right now. So there's about 5 or 6 days of absolutely zero nicotine. And I feel fantastic. And I don't care about that 26 pounds. It's funny because I was so butthurt about any weight gain at all previously in this weight loss journey. If I gained a couple pounds, I was upset because, I want to be that awesome guy on the internet. Like, oh, look at him. He's just losing weight so effortlessly. And it's fun to be looked at like that, but that's not real life. And I had to keep reminding myself, like even this weekend, I had to remind myself before I made this weekend's video. I was like, dude, do I even want to make this? Do I even want to continue making these videos? And I'm like, I made a commitment to the people that I talk to that, hey, I'm going to talk about this stuff, whether I like to or not. And so I might as well just figure out a way to like doing it, because sometimes these weeks are going to suck and sometimes they're going to be better. So figure out how to get around that and stop throwing your little pity party in your bedroom at night because you're just afraid to get out here in front of everybody on the stage and not look perfect. I'm sorry, I'm not perfect. We all know this. I've spent a lot of time not being perfect. Mac Thompson. All right. Also boil it and to render down all of the fat into lard and save the future cooking, and then fry the pork. Yeah, yum. Now, I was talking to somebody. It was apparently on somebody else's thread that I just responded to a comment. They were talking about 70-30 meat, getting the fat ratio just right. Now 70-30 does work great for some people. Now for me, it's almost too much. So, and I use 80-20 meat mainly, and we're talking, the burger patties or the ground beef. And the reason I use that specific ratio is because the way I'm cooking it now. Now, if I were to do hamburger patties on the barbecue, like outside, 70-30s would probably be okay, but you're losing a lot of the fat value directly into the bottom of the grill. It's leaving the burger, so it's no longer there. So something I figured out is that if I make these in a pan, a cast iron ceramic coated pan that's got a really nice heavy cast iron lid, I cook 3 or 4 of those burger patties in there. It retains all the moisture. It also retains all the fat content, and the meat eventually cooks in pretty short amount of time on low heat inside its own fat renderings. So that increases the fat content right there. And like I said, it cooks in a pretty short amount of time. So I'm cooking 3 to 4 burgers in a big cast iron skillet, and I only have to flip them, 3 to 4 times at most, 4 times at most. And then I'll season them as I go, to the last half of the cooking portion of it. And it just makes it perfect. If I want a little bit more type of fat, I might add some cheese, or I'll add some butter. And that'll bring up the fat content if I feel like I need it. Now it's funny how, I don't know if anybody else is this way, but can you guys feel if your body needs more fat at times without having to go to the bathroom. Like you just have a sense, it's almost like wanting to be hydrated, because you can feel if you want to be hydrated. And it's probably a good idea that I drink a little bit right now. Mm. Okay, because I've been rambling on for just about an hour now. Okay, let's see. But my meat itself is usually 80/20. Yes, I really do like the 80/20. And for me, it works. But as long as I have to cook it, I have to keep it somewhat self-contained. I can't cook it on an open fire. I can't cook it on a grill because I'm losing a lot of the fat content there. That was another problem when I started Carnivore. I made a lot of these burgers and stuff like that, but they're on the grill. I also bought the wrong type of meat. I bought lean meat. It was 90/10 burger meat, and so when I was also cooking it on the grill, I was cooking out that 10% of fat. So I was lucky to have 2 to 3% of fat in there. And I was trying to eat these burgers because I was incredibly hungry at that time. My body was wanting nutrition. It was wanting food. It was wanting to be satiated, similar to my pizza eating addiction, where I would eat an entire pizza. So I was just constantly trying to fill this endless void inside my gut. But I was trying to do it a little bit better. So then I was having issues with my stools. I was becoming dangerously constipated. I was becoming dangerously full feeling, and it was just because the fat content was too high. So hopefully, somebody might hear this and learn from this. Is that all right? You want to figure out your fat content. That is one of the most important equations to do in carnivore, especially doing it and maintaining some healthy results. Add butter on the burger. Yes, butter, in my opinion, is like a condiment. If you have the exactly the right butter, the salt content sometimes just adds tremendous flavor to steaks even. And it was on the North Slope where I finally got used to eating like prime rib steak with butter on top, like globs of butter on top. It was really good, but I didn't know why. I didn't know why it was so delicious, and I didn't even know if it was real butter or not. So, all right, Northern Stitcher. Hi, just noticed you were on live. Should have got onto computer earlier. Well, hey, you made it here, and I appreciate your support, and I appreciate you showing up and saying hi. Um, I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to go. I'm not sure if the family's going to barge in the door sometime, but I think they're going to be gone for quite a while. But okay, we're showing about 30 people in the room right now, 26 likes. If you haven't, please go ahead and hit that like button. It does help the video before and after the stream. So I do appreciate people that like the video. And I also love the fact that you guys comment a lot. Ghee, Cyber Goose, you're mentioning ghee. I have not tried ghee. I don't even know where to look for ghee. I'm guessing I can go to the store and buy some, but yeah, we're going to have to maybe check it out. I haven't really looked into cooking with ghee. Um, if I do any extra cooking, I usually use bacon fat. So I got a lot of bacon fat left over, and we use that quite often. But like I said, we're doing this on a budget here. Um, I don't have money for steaks or ribeyes or anything like that. So if I get steaks, or if I happen to do a cooking video and I'm making a steak, it's gonna be a rare one because it's not cheap. I mean, to go out and get steaks because the price of steaks is pretty high. So, and I can afford, a lot of burger meat. If I can get burger meat around $5 a pound, then yeah, I'm going to be eating burger meat all day long, and I'm just going to have to figure out different meals and stuff like that. And I thought about making like a burger type stew. Now, somebody on here was talking about a burger type stew, and that sounds pretty good, or like a burger soup. That sounds really good. You can make it yourself. Let's see. Ghee. Let's see. I wish I could use ghee. It's just so much more expensive here in North Dakota. Yeah, you can make it yourself. Clarify. Ghee is clarified butter. Oh, okay. What do you do with the rest of the butter after you clarify it? Where does that go? Does it go in the garbage? I don't know. I haven't really looked into it that much. Yep, me too. Have a Pyrex bowl filled with bacon grease in the fridge. Now I do like to rotate out my grease. I don't know how you guys do it, but I'll have a little bit of grease for a while, and sometimes it'll sit for almost too long, and then I'll just have to get rid of it, and I'll start making a new jar or something like that. But something I have been doing is after I make a bunch of bacon, I got away from doing it in the pot. It started, the Dr. Berg way, or I think they did a little thing about cooking bacon in a very tall pot. Now, I wound up wrecking my pot. I'm okay with that. It was time to get a new one. We can still use it for its intended purposes of, like boiling other things or other items. But so we started using a bigger skillet. It's like an electric skillet that you would do like pancakes on, or um, like make like stir fried rice in, that type of electric skillet. So we started making bacon in there, and that works out really good. Even though the heat is off, it's not equally heated all the way across. So you got your bacon in the center of it cooking pretty fast. Then everything around the edges is cooking at a different temperature. So you're constantly moving the bacon pieces and parts around, which is really not that bad, because if you're going to screw up any of your bacon, it's going to be that directly in this one little area right in the middle. So everything else can be moved around and readjusted, and you can usually save a batch if you walked away for too long. But that seems to work out really good. So when I get done with cooking all of the bacon, I get left with this big giant tray of bacon grease. So I've been taking a cereal bowl, and I take a piece of tin foil, and I just stuff the tin foil down inside the cereal bowl, and I just leave enough of the fins out to catch any drippings so it doesn't go off to the side. And I just set that bowl down, and I just pour it out right up into the bowl. And then I'll just take that bowl, and I might cover it a little bit, almost like you're making a wonton out of tin foil, and I'll put that in the fridge for a couple hours, and I'll come back later, and it'll solidify all of the bacon grease in there, and you just close it up, toss it in the trash can, and you're done. You don't have to mess with nothing. Then you just let the dog lick out every part of the pan, and you're good to go. But ouch, I can still get it for $4.50 here. Was feeding my dog some bacon grease until I found out I shouldn't. I don't feed my dog tons of bacon grease. Now, what I do tend to do is I'll drain the bacon grease out of the pan. I'll throw that away, or I'll keep it for later. And then I'll scrape out what residual is in the pan. Sometimes I'll wipe it down, and then I'll set the pan down, and I'll let the dog, lick the remnants off, because there's always those little burnt yummy pieces. I could imagine that's kind of like eating a burnt Cheez-It to a dog, or maybe a pork rind. My cat's over here getting in a paper bag. But yeah, they're making a lot of noise. Let's see what else is going on in here. I have lard, tallow, and duck fat. Duck fat sounds great. Excessive, but I like the different flavors. Yeah, I could imagine. Yeah, having a random selection of different types of fats could go a long way. Could you imagine if we knew all of the stuff we're learning right now? Could you imagine if we knew all this stuff, 20, 30 years ago? Would it have made our lives any different, do you think? Do you think we would have listened? I don't think we would have, because, when I was having this conversation with my doctor about how to better communicate with the community and how to better communicate with morbidly obese people, they're just stuck. And I was stuck on stupid. I'm not calling anybody else stupid here. I'm just saying I was stuck on stupid because I thought I knew better. I thought I knew better about everything, and you couldn't tell me any different. I was like a 13-year-old kid being scolded by his parents, and I was just like, no, I know better than you. So I was trying to honestly come up with a way to hopefully better communicate with people, talking to my doctor, because my doctor also, they need to know how to communicate with us. And I hear a lot of these screams and hollers saying that the doctor never tells us to eat better. Okay, I can remember about 5,000 times in my life that my doctors mentioned diet over exercise. Before exercise, they mentioned eating. They actually mentioned a lot of specific types of foods to be eaten, instead of just eat a salad and go exercise and move more, because it's nonsense. But our brains were so screwed up that we did not recognize when the doctors were telling us. They can't take us by the hand and lead us to these specific places in the store and say, this is what you need to buy. We have to ask these questions. And now that we're old enough and our brains are actually mature enough, we can actually figure some of these things out for ourselves, which is great, because it's super hard to figure out all the stuff that we were trying to figure out before, or we just thought we knew. And that was the biggest problem I had, is I thought I knew a lot. And I still suffer from that at times. And this is why I appreciate every single one of you that straighten me out when I think I know something. And like I said, it's not important to be the smartest person in the room. When we're doing videos like this, if I don't learn anything from you and you can't tell me, where I'm wrong, and if I can't accept that I'm wrong, it's pointless to even try to have these conversations in an open community and type forum like this. Let's see, blame it on Kellogg. Boy, that name there, I love the rabbit holes. And Kellogg is one of those rabbit holes that took me in a weird place that I didn't like what I was finding out about the history of Kellogg and circumcision and some of the stuff that the way that he was trying to manipulate people in the communities. And it was just such a weird thing to start learning about. It was like, I didn't even want to hear it. It was so disturbing because, there was a lot of information wrapped around this guy. And I don't know why it took so many years for it to actually come out. And if it was already out there, I just never figured out how to hear about it. Eat less and move more is the biggest fallacy. I agree with you, Jen. I remember when I first started this weight loss journey, I was hearing that a lot. Eat less, move more. And in the initial phases of weight loss and understanding how these things work, I was really surprised at how easy that was for me to jump on. Just that statement alone. Here I am, a fat guy. I am injured. I'm an injured man. My feet have plantar fasciitis. And if anybody else has shared that or knows what plantar fasciitis is, they know it's extremely painful. It feels like you're walking on glass. And here I am figuring out how to lose weight. I lost 30 to 40 pounds, and I'm trying to jump on the eat less, move more bandwagon. Well, if any of you have been following, you know that I did that. I did the eat less, move more. And what happened to me? I hurt myself. I hurt myself pretty bad. I mean, I hurt myself twice on video. It was a lot. It was early on. I mean, I understand if nobody watches that video, but yeah, I hurt myself on video. I was just taking my cat to walk outside. I took a step out the door and almost went down on my face because, I pulled a tendon or something like that, that's on the bottom of my foot. And I was in so much pain. I mean, I thought I was going to kill my poor kitten because I was really heavy at that time. I was over 400 pounds. I thought I was going straight down on my cat, and that would have definitely ended my poor kitten's life at the time. But yeah, eat less, move more. Yeah, okay, that might work for some people. Probably the person that's saying it. Eat less, move more. If that works for you, great. Awesome. It's such BS. Working out triggers hunger, and so on the opposite of what you want. Salty pork rind, cyber goose. Hey, okay. So I was recommended to try pork rinds early on in the carnivore diet, but I was also warned about pork rinds because it's very easy for us to overeat pork rinds. And I'm a gluttonous type of man with some shameful eating habits from the past. So I found that the pork rinds were the best idea for me. Absolutely freaking delicious. Loved them. Tasted great. They reminded me of eating a box of Cheez-Its. And the reason I say that is because when I ate a box of Cheez-Its, I would eat the box of Cheez-Its trying to find that one perfect Cheez-It, the one that it's slightly burnt. It's got that yummy, toasty, buttery, magical flavor. That was the Cheez-It that I was searching for. And Cheez-It knew this. Now I had years of actually talking with Cheez-It and development of their toasted Cheez-It and stuff like that. That was my pathetic doing. I mean, I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't have done that, but because it didn't turn out right. I mean, they were trying to master the toasted Cheez-It. And I told them, I said, this is what I asked for when I went in there as a truck driver. I'd come in as a truck driver and I would ask for bags of basically they're Cheez-It rejects. They're off the edges of the assembly line. So when the Cheez-Its come down the line, they're cooked. but the ones on the edges get toasted more than the ones in the center. So they had these little dividers that would take them off and then swoop those in the bins. Well, I'd ask for bags of those. Those were delicious. I used to eat the crap out of those, and I'd get them for nothing. They'd throw in like 4 or 5 bags in the trailer, and I'd get them when I went to go shut my door. But they were just going to throw them away. They'd grind them up and turn them into pig food and stuff like that. So it was no big deal. They were still a food grade product. But yeah, there was a lot of people that even in the factory that would snack on those at times. So it's just a runoff that comes off the side. So you can't reintroduce them back into the assembly line. Is basically what's happening. Using on-screen keyboard on the big screen, so not easy to articulate. Okay. That's, I get it. Yeah, you might have an on-screen keyboard on a TV, I'm guessing, Noah. All right. It's all right. If you're on the go, grab pork rinds, smallest bag. Unfortunately, I haven't seen many small bags of pork rinds up here. We have a lot of big bags. Now, I do know in the lower 48, there was a lot more options, especially in the truck stops and stuff like that. And, here in the last few months, I finally figured out how to navigate my way around like a quickie type stop or a truck stop type situation. If I really need something to eat, I'm just going to go straight for whatever beef sticks, beef jerky they have, and I'm going to search whatever they have there because they usually have a wall of different types, flavors, and bag sizes. But here it's expensive. It's like $20 a bag for beef jerky at these places. But I just try to pick out the one that I can either stomach the best or is the healthiest item, that I can find. And sometimes I don't always make the best decisions when it comes to these things. But if I'm just doing it once in a while, I get through. It gets me through, and I don't have to make a really horrible decision, trying to pick the sandwich meat out of a pre-made sandwich or something like that, because that's not a winner. And all these like our holiday gas stations, they're changing names. They're changing into something else now. But like their burgers, like they have these burgers on these like hot plates, and that's not even real meat. It's like some soybean pressed. Might as well be a vegan Beyond Meat type food. It's not even real meat, so you can't even strip those for any value. Let's see. I bought a dehydrator and make many types of good jerky, hamburger, bacon. Now here's the thing. Up here in Alaska, it's very expensive to even make our own beef jerky. Now I've done this. I have gone to the butcher and bought the meat and stuff like that. It's pretty expensive, and it's also a time-consuming process to get everything made. But now, if you wanted to go out and hunt, let's say if you caught a moose or something like that, and you can make your own moose jerky, or you can make a salmon jerky, which is something we've done as well. That's a lot more affordable option, in my opinion, than going out to any store here in Alaska and trying to purchase meat as far as a protein to make jerky. So yeah, if you're out caribou hunting, you can make a great caribou jerky, moose jerky. Even rabbit for that matter. You got to have the right type of rabbit, but you don't want to just regular like house type looking rabbit. Those aren't very good. Let's see here. Garden, Mac Thompson. I feel you, man. And grocery shopping now. And I actually need the back of the bag. Okay. You guys are doing all right. You're talking a lot about beef jerky here in the comments. I have pork belly I need to cook tomorrow. I not need salt brine today and then cook tomorrow. I used to do my salt brining the day before. You don't have to do an entire day of it. You can brine for a few hours, and then you can move on into if you're in a rush. But if you can let stuff in a brine sit overnight, you're going to have a much better result by the next morning. Corn products are in everything. Yes, corn products are in everything. Now, I was watching a documentary the other day, and this had to do with some part like South Africa or something like that. But some of those people down there, they live on nothing but corn grain and stuff like that. But I believe they get more of the benefit out of the corn because of how they make it. They put it all in a bowl, and then they just pound it out, and they turn it into like a meal, like cornmeal, and then they'll add water to it, and it'll be like a paste, and they'll all share this corn paste, and they'll live just primarily on that. So I think the manipulation with these unnatural strains of corn that we have here in the United States is the fact that, for starters, they're all GMO now, and we just pretty much killed off all the good nutrients that used to be in the corn, if there ever was. But when they heat the corn, maybe that creates some damage as well, because like high fructose corn syrup and stuff like that, that's created through a process, of heating and extraction and stuff like that. So, all right, let's see, Chomps brand jerky on Amazon. Boy, I wish I had the money to go running out there and buying some beef jerky right now, because I just don't. I mean, I felt I felt pretty lucky to buy the amount of burger meat that I did today. I spent about $124. Um, let's see, between just the cheapest burger patties, pre-made frozen burger patties I could find at Walmart. So I got about 8 packages of those, and there's about 12 in a package. And this is nothing fancy type of meat. This is just regular ground beef, probably not grass fed or finished, but it's just it's just meat. That's what the money I got. I can't afford to be too picky right now. And we didn't have any eggs, so I had to just go and get a case of sardines. So we're just working with the basics to try to get back on track here, and try to get my body to shift gears again, get back into ketosis, get down back below 300 pounds again. I'm sorry, I screwed up, but I think tackling the whole nicotine aspect of all of this right now was perfect timing, because now it's done. It's out of the way. I can focus 100% on health related topics, health conversations, education, research, and hopefully some development of this YouTube channel, and hopefully reach some other people, because it seems like my channel is kind of stagnant right at the moment. So we're just trying to figure out ways of getting it to grow, and I'm also collabing with some other people trying to for everybody to grow. We're not trying to just grow this channel alone. We support each other in the carnivore community, and no matter what community we're dealing with on YouTube, we support each other, and we just try to help lift each other up a little bit, because it's a slow process. Once you get things moving, everything starts working a little bit better. But let's see. Talking of eggs, just watched your short. I can't believe you ain't got eggs there. Got any chickens? Now, I used to raise chickens out in Wasilla, but right now it's so cold. Even people here in Anchorage, it was minus 16 degrees last night. And people here in Anchorage, a lot of their birds are locking up right now. When it gets too cold, they lock up. They don't lay eggs as much. And if they do lay eggs, you have to be, Johnny on the spot basically when the egg pops out. You got to be there within the first hour or two to get that egg out of the basket and get it somewhere safe, because it's going to freeze, and it's going to turn it into a yucky egg, and you can make it into dog food after that. But yeah, it was kind of sad when I saw that, and me and a lot of other people were just standing there staring at it for a second. A couple of Asian ladies walked up, and they looked at me, and they looked back, they're rolling their eyes. They're like, again? And I said, yes, again. I said, if you guys want to move over a little bit, I'm going to film this. And I said, there's nothing to see here. I said, if you want to look at it, you can watch it on my channel. But yeah, I get it. It's just one of those things. And, back when I was making shopping videos, that was my fun thing to talk about, because I had a group of people. I used to call them my empty shelf watchers. They used to love just seeing an empty shelf. I could just sit there and show an empty shelf and just talk about this empty shelf. Like, gee, why do you think this shelf's empty? Let's go talk to somebody and see what happened. Is there more product in the back? And I'd be the more realistic guy for the shopping videos. I'd try to find out the details. Like, okay, why is this shelf empty? Are we getting ready to do a store remodel? Are we doing stuff like that? And once in a while, I would miss the boat, and I would kind of over sensationalize some empty shelves and not realize that they were getting ready to do a store remodel. And that was embarrassing, to find out afterwards, because then I'd have to come back later and do a follow-up video, for my regular subscribers, and be like, hey, yeah, I forgot to mention that. All right. Yeah. There were signs here saying this, and I didn't even read the signs that were on the shelf saying that everything here is moving over to that side of the store. All right. Let's see. What do we got here? Empty shelf watchers. Yes. Love the empty shelf watchers. And I think a lot of those were born throughout the pandemic, because when the pandemic started and all the shelves in the stores, even here in Alaska, it was the most interesting time for me to live here in this state because these shelves cleared out like within a week. I mean, that's scary. People were hoarding everything. And I was like, well, it doesn't, and a lot of people were like, oh, there's no food for the people. I'm like, no, there's a lot of food for the people. It's just sitting in all these houses around here. Is the same amount of food is still here. It's just sitting in different homes and it's not sitting on the store shelves for you to pick out. So, and that kind of calmed down a lot of people that were freaking out about it. Like, oh, there's no food. I was like, no, there's food. There's still food here. But it might not be the food that you went to the store for because at that time when the pandemic happened, I mean, a lot of us were going through the transition of trying to figure out our own health at that time. But then the pandemic happened and it screwed up everybody. And many people gained 20 to 30 pounds, throughout the isolation of the pandemic. And those store trips that we went to when we were like panicking or like, oh, this or that's out. What were those items that we were worried about? For me, I was butthurt about SpaghettiOs not being on the shelf. For me, I was butthurt about Pop Tarts not being on the shelf. And when those things came back to the shelf, I was so happy. And I shouldn't have been happy because I didn't know any better. I was just happy to have them back in my life again because I was like, for some reason, I thought they were super important items to have. Like, you need these things. And now that I've been doing this weight loss journey, I'm realizing what a fool I was. I was like, wow, yeah, because even when I was a truck driver, the stuff that I used to pack for being stuck on the side of the road here in Alaska was stuff like, I'd pack a case of Pop Tarts, or I'd pack 6 or 7 cans of maybe SpaghettiOs with meatballs or chili or stuff like that. Just a lot of high sodium, not the right sodium. When I say high sodium, it's not the right sodium, because we all here, most of us know that we need the right types of salt. And it's, sodium is one thing, but the right types of salt is what we really need the most, because you can take salt and strip it of all of its good stuff and it's still sodium, but it's not good, healthy salt that we need, especially for our electrolytes. Good luck with your project, pandemic cheese. It overload. Yeah, pandemic, man. Oh, cheese it overload. There you go. Yeah, there was a problem here in Alaska when it came to, I don't, I don't know who started the whole toilet paper thing. I want to take that guy and I bonk him, or whoever that was that thought that COVID was the poop virus, and it was. It's the furthest thing away from the poop virus. Everybody ran out and got all the toilet paper, and I will admit we got a head warning in October that there was something going on in China, and from a close friend of mine in Arizona, and so I got into contact with some of my people that I know in China, and they said, yeah, something's happening. You need to just kind of figure out your own situation before it starts getting your direction, because it's going to get your direction. But people are having problems over there. So we went out, we do our due diligence. We're Alaskans. Now, Alaskans, we stock up for every situation. And at that time, we were living in a new place. We had a bunch of extra room in this home. So I was like, yeah, let's go out. And we got we got a bunch of toilet paper. We got a bunch of food items and stuff like that, extra water. Just maybe like about 3 months supply of whatever. Didn't matter what it was. We had enough in our home to just sit there for 3 months and stare out the window and watch everybody else figure it out. So the first couple of weeks when everything went into lockdown and people started panicking, well, it was kind of trivial because all we had to do was sit still. We didn't have to do or go anywhere or worry about anything because we had everything we needed. And then it was a slow process of getting bored with what we had over time. And that sucked because I got tired of wanting to, have something different, like maybe takeout food or, it's because places were closed. They weren't open normal hours. And if they were only open certain times a day because people were just up and quitting their jobs, like out of nowhere. So we didn't have fast food workers. We didn't have a lot of food delivery services right at the get go. And then eventually it all started picking up. People started realizing, whoa, we need money. We still have to work. And there wasn't a lot of like retail type stuff available because of the regulations that were going on up here. And the pandemic was a spooky time. And I was working out at the post office. And the one thing I enjoyed about the pandemic, and I apologize for those of you that were stuck at home, but as I had to work no matter what. So I was always out on the roads in my work hours where sometimes I go to work at like 10 o'clock at night, but it was just freakishly quiet here in this town. And this is a city like any other city anywhere around the world where there's always something going on. There's always some traffic moving. But I would go to work at night. I'd go to work. And then once I got out of work, I would head home. I wouldn't see a single person. Nobody. I wouldn't see anybody walking on the sidewalks. I wouldn't see a car passing by. It was quiet. It was spooky quiet. It was so quiet. I mean, it was like Armageddon happened. And I'm like the only person out here. And I was scared at times to sit at traffic lights because I felt like somebody was watching me or somebody was going to come and try to steal my car while I was sitting there. So, and it's funny because, I grew up on the East Coast. People do carjackings and weird stuff all the time. But I'm sitting at an intersection at a traffic light, and I just felt super vulnerable. Like I was out in the open. Like, wow, there's nobody here. There's nobody around. I mean, it's just like this room here. I mean, I'm in more danger of the cats attacking me, just like I was at these traffic lights, but I felt spooked out. I'd actually lock my doors, or, I'd look around both ways and look a half mile down the road and behind me to see if I see any headlights. And I would just go through the red light because there was nobody around. That was kind of fun because after a while you just got tired of sitting at the red light and you just turn. You just be like, okay, I got to go. I can't sit here all night. But yeah, still I've got buckets of rice. Yeah, we do. We have a lot of rice. We have rice. We have flour. We have all kinds of stuff that I'm no longer eating. Now I did, when I went off the rails here, I did wind up getting into some of the beans and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, we need to get rid of some of this chili. I might as well make that up into a batch. And I'm like, I don't have enough chili to make this. And I was just using canned Nally chili for part of the base of what I was doing in the crock pot. So I added in a pound of ground beef. I added in a pound of hot dogs sliced up. And about 4 or 5 different other kinds of beans, black beans, kind of like white beans and stuff like that. And some beans one of my close friends here in town gave us that she cans because she likes canning a lot of this prepping type food. And we just had some. I just couldn't figure out what to do with the beans until that day. So yeah, I made a chili out of that. And that was one of my off the rail meals. It was kind of like that happy marriage of vegans versus carnivore got together and decided to make chili that day. And that's kind of been a joke I've been using with some of my friends up here. Like, yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect marriage of carnivore and vegan right there is when you got a chili. But you can make chili without the meat, and you can still make chili, without the beans. So it's one of the more interesting, versatile type meals that I think I can come up with, no matter which way I do it, because I can totally make a carnivore chili with no beans. It's not hard. It's just all meat, and you're just adding in a little bit of tomato sauce, and then you're adding the chili seasoning and stuff like that. You don't have to get overly crazy with the vegetables there. Some onions, yeah, I like the onions be good. Nothing wrong with that. Texas chili, no beans. That sounds delicious and good. It's my own little Jeep. Let's see, They're probably sealed food grade buckets and dry, dark, cool basement. Now, I just gave away, Lisa's Blessed Life. Nice to see you here. I'm glad to see you. I pray for you. I want you to do well, and I want you to find yourself along this journey here, because I know a lot of us have struggled, and I talk to Lisa quite a bit back and forth on her channel because, she's got issues just like I do. We got real life stuff going on, and sometimes it doesn't agree with what we're trying to do, and it gets us distracted and off the rails. But we can come back together. We can get back on track, but we just need to help each other get back there together. But anyways, Lisa's Blessed Life, I love to can too. That's a problem for me with carnivore. The things I love to can aren't exactly carnivore for the most part. Now, but they can be. I'm not saying everything has to be carnivore. Of course not. You want to keep a We're talking prepping pantry type items here. We don't need to prep 99% meat. Um, yeah, you got a lot of somewhat healthy vegetable proteins and stuff like that. That's the rainy day type stuff you're going to want to have on your back burner. You're going to want to have that stuff in your prepping pantry. I don't care if you're canning potatoes from the garden. You grew it yourself. You know there's no pesticides on it. You're already ahead of the game. If you're canning your own vegetables that came out of your own garden, for instance. So, yeah, you can do a lot worse by canning stuff you bought at the store versus whatever you took out of your own yard is what I'm getting at. So even if it's not on the carnivore train, and even if it's not something you're not going to want to eat on the daily, yeah, go ahead, can it up. Guess what? You might have a natural disaster or be out of power, and whatever's in those jars, it's going to save your life. It might not just be your life. It could be your neighbor's life, your kid's life, or anybody else. So, yeah, do not just throw everything away. I don't throw everything away. I just learned how to not eat everything because that was my problem. Is I was eating everything and I was eating out of my prepping pantry, and that was really how I got excessively overweight. I was depressed and eating out of my prepping pantry, which is something the majority of us Alaskans have here. Is we all have, about 2 to 3 weeks worth of food backed up. It's packed up, stored away, tucked away under beds, or some people put their food under their trailer homes, in containers and stuff like that, just for rainy days, because you never know what's going to happen up here. You could have a house fire or stuff like that. Well, you might lose, part of your home, but you might not lose the entirety of your home. So you're still going to have some food left over, or maybe you're going to have this food left over for the neighbor, if their house decides to burn down or something like that, because it happens. It's just bad stuff happens at times, and just don't throw away stuff. Give it away if you just can't stand to be around it. Just give it away to somebody else. Don't throw it away. If you can, packages in boxes or buckets. Now I got distracted when I saw Lisa come in the room because I get excited when I see familiar faces come in here, but. So when I got distracted there, I was getting ready to talk about one of my close friends. Is I just gave away a Mylar bag sealer. Now, throughout the pandemic, I was like, oh yeah, well I need to get into this, and I was also getting into some prepping content and stuff like that. But that wasn't my calling here on YouTube, and it wasn't something that I was very comfortable with talking about because, like I said, I was already obese. I had a hard time communicating. So making any video at all, it was very difficult for me. I could do it now, but I had a hard time back then. So I just refrained. But I got this Mylar bag sealer, and I bought a bunch of Mylar bags without the windows because apparently they were getting upset about the Mylar bags not having windows, so they could inspect them. But yeah, I had a bunch of those. I got it on Amazon. Didn't cost me much. It was like $50 for a whole bunch of bags with these carbon monoxide pouches you put in there, and the wife just happened before I got these. And the reason I bought this was because the wife went out and bought a big freaking huge bag of flour, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, flour is a tough one for me because I worked in a pizza place and I know how flour and grains and stuff like that come with lovely little bug eggs, and if you don't take care of it correctly, you're going to have the little boogers hatching all over the place. And there's nothing wrong with them. You can actually eat them. A lot of us have eaten them. And it's just protein. It's just something that comes in the flour and it comes in the grain. There's little tiny bug eggs, and it's just like dried pasta. If you get spaghetti in a box, you just let that box of lasagna noodles or spaghetti sit up there. Guess what's going to happen? Those little tiny buggies in there, they're going to hatch, and you're going to have a bunch of them inside your box. And I don't remember what they're called, but they're quite annoying. They don't hurt you. You can rinse them off if you don't want them there. Not a big deal. They're not going to make anybody sick because it's not like a mouse that's running around getting infested with stuff. But okay. But yeah, I gave away that Mylar bag sealer to her because she loves canning and she loves, doing all the prepping type stuff. And she's got a big family that lives directly around her. So she can hopefully get some good use out of that. And maybe she'll package something for me, but I only used it for rice. And I put some rice in Mylar bags, and I also put some flour. And some of that flour sits up above my refrigerator behind me when I'm doing the videos. They're just sitting there waiting for a day where we might need it, might not. So it's not hurting anything. It's just going to sit around. Yeah, weevils. There you go. Yeah, weevils. They don't taste bad. I mean, they don't really taste like anything. You can toast them up and they're kind of crunchy. But carnivore pizza, loved. I love the carnivore pizza. Uh, so far, my favorite carnivore pizza is one made out of chicken crust, and it, closest thing to a bread texture that I can come up with. Now, when I first started, I was liking the cauliflower pizza, and I was still eating the cauliflower pizza from Costco on occasion, and I still will from on occasion, but it's not going to be my regular thing. I've gotten over my pizza addiction, and that was hard. That was hard for me to get over the pizza addiction thing because I was eating a lot of pizza. I was eating a lot of traditional pizza, sometimes with extra cheese, extra toppings, and multiple types of pizza. It just I couldn't figure out how to slow down. It was just insane. So, all right, let's see. Carnivore pizza dough can be used to make chicken nuggets too. Yeah, but yeah, try to get my kids to eat that. It's hard for me to get my kids to eat anything healthy. As soon as they see daddy making something, they look at me and they're like, "Nope, not going to eat it. Dad's eating it. That means it's got to be healthy, so we're not going to eat it." And which is strange because they see what I'm going through. They saw where I was, and they saw how quickly I'm healing. And so I know they're paying attention. My daughters pay close attention to what dad's been doing, and they are eating healthier all by themselves, which is great. I'm so proud of them for trying to do the best. They're still children. They still want to get in the sugary snacks and stuff like that and get the little treats from the stores and stuff that grandma or the relatives buy them when they go out. That's their little things. But make dino chicken nuggets. Yeah, I might. Hmm. Now you got me thinking because I do have some of that left over. That chicken in a can left over. It's not the best quality as far as health goes, but whatever's in the dino chicken nuggets, that stuff in the bag, that's not super healthy stuff. So I think I'd be ahead of the game making it that way. But yeah, if I used a cookie cutter, um, yeah, I could probably come up with something pretty decent like that. I might just do that. So a little bit of Parmesan cheese mixed together with the chicken and just mush it all together. Pop that in a cookie cutter and cook it up and see how that goes. You could either do that in the air fryer or, bake it on some parchment paper in the oven. hmm Yeah, this might be an idea, Lady Casca. That might be something we might do at some point. Like I said, right now, money is just been a pain in the butt. So I'm either waiting on it to snow or we're waiting on another job to hopefully kick off soon. And we'll finally get to doing something a little bit better down the road here. Um, okay, so let's see. We still got 20 people in here. We got 42 likes up on the screen. So if you could just back out of the comment thread, just hit that like button because it does help our channel, and it also helps us, spread the word about carnivore, and hopefully losing weight, conquering addictions, and stuff like that. That's all important stuff that I like to talk about, and just basically trying to help one another because I'm not just here trying to help everybody else. I'm here just trying to create a safe place for us all to get together and talk about these things and, hopefully learn from one another as we go, because it's just incredibly important that we all learn from each other, because I might know something and then you might know 12 somethings that I don't know. So then you just made me that much smarter. And that's greatest. That's the great thing that we can do. We can't make a much better situation because there's no teacher in the room. We're all learning from one another, and we are the best teachers, especially when we all get together and we just decide like, hey, we're gonna figure out something new. How do you retract a message? That's what'd you do? Did you misspell something? I don't know. All right, Lady Costco, what'd you do to retract your message? We all are students and teachers. Yes, we are. Absolutely, especially when we get to this age. And yeah, I'm almost 50 years old. I'll be 50 years old this year. And that's part of this next job option that I might be offered here. And I hope to get this job because they're looking for somebody to help the younger generation, into the type of work that I do, and somebody that can just sit there and talk and relate to these newer people, and I have a grasp for what it's like to be. I don't forget, what it's like to be the new guy on the job. I remember what it was like even 30 years ago when I was trying to be an apprentice plumber, and I was so frustrated with the whole problem of master plumbers and stuff like that, because the masters would come in and they'd screw up everything, and the apprentices and the journeymen would have to fix everything. This was a conversation I just had with Todd um, earlier today, so it's just fresh on my memory. But yeah, it used to drive me nuts when I was an apprentice. I was like, man, I'm just trying to learn this stuff. I'm not trying to do the entire freaking job. And that's usually how it ended up, because we'd be plumbing in entire hotels, and these master plumbers would come in, and they basically just, you might as well just get them to lay the pipe out and leave every fitting undone, and you come back because you got to inspect it all anyways. And we were constantly fixing all of their screw ups, but they were getting paid $60 an hour, and we were getting paid like $20 an hour back then. So it really stunk. Let's see, the right of your comment, hover and thought three dots. Okay. Uh-huh. Have you have so much charisma. Who's got charisma? You're talking about somebody in here. I don't know. Let's see. You misspelled Joe's name. Oh, right now I'm financially dependent on what I can get from the food pantry. I buy beef as I can. Yeah, that's a hard one. Um, when money's tight, this is wintertime for a lot of us around the country, especially those in the northern part of the United States, and people in Canada and here in Alaska. It's cold. I mean, it's cold. We got a lot of weather coming in, and when the weather turns, it creates a lot of hardship on us. It makes it harder to get to work. It costs extra money because we're running the vehicles a little longer to get them to warm up. I mean, I got to run my little minivan out there. I got to run it for about a half an hour just to get it warm enough to sit in the car and drive 5 minutes down the road, because it's so cold. And I'm wearing these deerskin leather gloves that one of my employers just bought me because he saw that my old gloves had holes in the fingers, and that was one of the Christmas gifts we got this year, and that was really nice. But since I started carnivore and my body's in a perpetual state of ketosis most of the time, my fingers get really cold really fast, and that's the only explanation we could come up with when I was talking to my doctor, because we were trying to figure out, hey, why are my fingers always cold, but my feet are warm now. So since my feet stopped swelling, I don't have a whole lot of cold toes. I mean, I could wear sneakers outside at -16 and my feet are warm. And before, when I was morbidly obese and I had all this swelling going on in my feet, I had poor circulation in my toes. I was always freezing. My toes were always freezing, even when I was somewhat healthy, because I was somewhat healthy, but I was still inflamed a lot because of the amount of seed oils I was consuming and a lot of the foods I was eating at that time. Yeah, French fries. I was eating a lot of fried foods, so a lot of breaded foods and stuff like that were cooked in these seed oils. So yeah, my feet were always swollen and they were always cold. Didn't matter what kind of boots I wore. I could buy the best work boots you could think of that would keep anybody else's feet, just fine. But yeah, my feet were cold no matter what. So it was just a miserable time there. OMG, my fingers are cold too. Yes, that's an unfortunate side effect to carnivore. And it's an unfortunate side effect to anybody that's in like a perpetual state of ketosis, because um, at some point your body tries to slow down your metabolism because it doesn't know what to expect next, because it's just constantly evolving along with the situation. So it's just like, okay, let's just see how this goes. And but yeah, it's trying to slow your metabolism down, so it makes everything cold, which makes a lot of sense too, because some of my older relatives, they've been carnivore almost all their life. They just don't call it carnivore because it's just how they eat. That's how a lot of the native Alaskans just eat in general. And I kind of blew some people's minds away when I was talking about this at the native clinic the other day. Because a lot of those people there on the health side of things, they frown on carnivore lifestyles. They tell people it's not the greatest idea sometimes, or they, at minimum, they start like, another one of those, believes that eating carnivore is the best thing in the world. But then when you sit there and you remind them of the obvious things, like, hey, guess what? 90% of your patients that come in here, they're already carnivores. They already were. They've been doing this for hundreds of years, and they were just fine until everything changed up here and we brought all this processed food up here. And then all of a sudden the obesity and the diabetes came in, and now all the seed oils and the fried foods and stuff like that. Yeah, it's kind of wrecking them. So they're in the hospital a lot more than they need to be. But the elders, the ones that are still in good health and they're in their 80s, they're doing really good. They're eating a lot of whale blubber. They're eating muck duck. They're eating fat. They're eating seal oil. They're eating, caribou, moose meat, whatever they can find. And they're just not messing it up with all the nonsense that the rest of us did for the last 20 years and got us into this whole problem in the first place. So Lady Casa, I never thought to look for that much bacon. Let's see. Robin Miller, Lisa's Blessed Life, Lady Casa is as such too. And the line just skipped. Okay, Lindy Price. There is a low histamine method of eating on carnivore. Look around YouTube. There was a video not long ago. I just don't recall by who. Lady Casca. Now, this is the best part about this carnivore community. Now, please don't take anybody's suggestion here as being combative to anything that you're thinking, or because these people care. I mean, this whole community cares about one another, and we seriously try and sometimes go out of our ways to try to connect people with related videos and stuff like that to hopefully help people find their own path, because it's even for me, I do a lot of research already, but without this community and without the people chiming in and giving me all these little insights, like, hey, go check out this guy or this video, or check out this link, and I'm not a big fan of clicking links, so I'll back out of most anything and not click a link, and I'll find it myself, but I will look into most things. And Lindy Price, 100%. We all want each other to succeed, and that's what I'm here for. Is I'm here for that bunch of people. I don't want anybody to be miserable. I don't want anybody to feel like I did. If anything, I want to help people prevent becoming what I was, because I never thought for a million years, and just like most of you in the room here, we never thought we were going to be morbidly obese. Now, I know some people have some pretty dramatic stories about their obesity story and how they got obese and stuff like that. And I'm not here to judge that, but there are a lot of us here that we grew up thinking that, we were never going to be out of shape. We were never going to be fat. And guess what? Here we are. It happened. It happened to me. It happened to several of us. And this is what brought us together. It's just like, wow, you took a wrong turn and, should have done things a little bit different. But all right, guys, I have gone on for, oh my goodness, this is probably the longest live stream I've ever done. It's coming close to 2 hours. I do want to say I appreciate every single one of you for coming in. I really love reading through all the comments here. You guys have been great. My fingers got warmer on carnivore. How did your fingers get warmer on carnivore? Let's see. My hands were in perpetual agony due to how cold they were before, though. So maybe it's relative. Yeah, that I don't have an explanation for that one. Because the majority of people I know, their fingers are actually getting colder when they do carnivore. And the only logical reason for that is that I tend to agree with is that our body's in ketosis and our body's just trying to slow down the process. So it's naturally going to get colder. So I'm not sure if that's 100% accurate, but that sounds pretty good. And I like the way it sounds, because sometimes I agree with things. I just like the way it sounds. But thanks for the chats. Yeah, everybody, you're absolutely amazing. And we're at 1 hour, 53 minutes. That is a record for me. And hopefully I didn't bore anybody, because I'm not here to try to bore you guys. I really do want to. Oh, there we go. Joe's Garage and other stuff. I need to go check you out. You said you got a video up. So I'm definitely going to go check out the video at Joe's Garage and other stuff. And if any of you are still here and around, go check out his video and let him know what you think. I'm going to be in there in just a little bit. I'm going to take a look at this video he just posted. Apparently it's carnivore related. So yeah, I'm going to give him a decent critique if I feel it needs it. If anything, I'm just going to give him a, hey, way to go, good job. I'm not sure if this is a person that's created a bunch of videos yet. So if not, it's good to try to help each other out, when it comes to video creation and stuff like that, because there's a lot of cheats. There's a lot of cheats when it comes to making videos, and just like weight loss, I'm going to find the easiest way to lose weight if it's possible to do so. And just like quitting smoking, I figured it out, man. I figured it out. I figured out how to quit nicotine. I didn't think I could do it, but I figured out how to lose weight with little to no exercise, and I've been doing pretty good. Why not try tackling tobacco and cigarettes and vapes and nicotine all at the same time? And then I can move forward, and we can all point back and say, hey, you remember that guy, Big Man Alaska? Yeah, about 3 years ago, that guy figured out how to quit smoking just like that. It took a couple of weeks, but he was done. He hasn't smoked since. That's the kind of stories I want to look back at. That's the kind of stories I want to be able to sit around a campfire and talk about with my children. Hey, you know what your dad did? Yeah, his life sucked too. He figured out a thing or two, and he just decided to share it with the world, and hopefully it's going to make the world a better place. God bless all of you guys. I'm going to get teary. I'll miss you. And I hope to see you in next weekend's video. I might be able to do another live stream here in the middle of the week, or if I come up with some random topic, I might make an interesting video, hopefully get that produced throughout the week as well. These live streams do extremely well for me, and there's something new to me. But I need to figure out how to I'm going to have to get a hold of Todd at Carnivore Cure. We're going to have to go over how to get my live stream set up with StreamYard, so I can actually get up here and invite people into the room. Because if he were to pop in here right now, or anybody else, hey, Priscilla, thank you for showing up. I appreciate you being here. But if Todd were to pop in the room right now, I'd definitely bring him up on screen, because we talked for 2 hours on the phone today. And this was the first time me and Todd from Carnivore Cure actually connected on the cell phone. And it was the most amazing interaction I had. And it's really no different than the conversation I have here with you guys. Is we keep each other interesting, because I'm asking him questions, he's talking to me about stuff, and we're just correlating ideas to hopefully help everybody else, because that's me and him. We think a lot alike. And his crew, he's got Lindy, he's also got Michael and his crew. We all want to help each other help themselves. We don't want to be the ones saying, you need to do this, you need to do that. You know why? Because we have done this, we have done that, and we have failed at every corner. And what we want to do is help those people take care of themselves. Because I can't help anybody take care of themselves. All I can do is make suggestions. But again, God bless. I'm going to cut the stream right here. And I will see you guys either later on this week or next weekend at the latest. So, all right, be ready for next weekend's update. I did say that I was going to be doing mainly either burger meat, sardines, and maybe some eggs. If I can find some eggs here in town, we're going to try to find some eggs. So we're going to get out the door and see what we can find. Take care. See you later.